I'm gonna open up this story to from when I left LA County Jail. I got kicked to the yard. I kicked to the reception. Within 30 days, I caught my first shoe term for battery on an officer. I got a shoe term for like about a year, and I sat in Tehachapi Shoe. I got kicked out of Tehachapi Shoe. I hit Kern Valley, and this at the time I had just lost my life. I got life without the possibility of parole for 2 homicides. So I had hit D-Yard. I hit D-Yard, and I was associated with independent riders while I was on an active tier. I became an independent rider to strike back at the South. But I had really committed myself to this. So when I hit the yard, the first thing I hear is that there was a child that was saying he was an IR. So
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I stripped him of what we call letters. I stripped him of his letters, and I broke his leg. So when I broke his leg, I went to the hole, and I had got kicked out. But while I was in the hole, the Northern Riders at the time had stabbed the 2 fibers in November of 2013. They it took like 11 on 26, and they butchered the Northern Riders butchered the 2 fibers. So they were my neighbors while I was in the hole. One night they woke me up, and they were drinking, and they were screaming to the 2 fibers, just disrespecting them, like, hey, about the South, because their affiliations with the South and blah blah blah. But they kept on saying something. They kept on saying, we're real riders, North Daniel riders, Northern riders, and they kept on saying that. And at the time, I was associated with independent riders, so to me, it was like, dog, you're shooting shots, bro. You're saying you're a real rider. That means like any other rider is not a real rider, bro. So I'm sitting there listening to them, and they're Squally and Scrappy are just sitting there like, hey, fool, 2 5, man, we're no Daniels, homie, and they just keep on screaming out. So that was the first time I thought inside my head that my first victim from a prison gang was going to be somebody other than 2 fibers. Because to me, it was like 2 fibers were my enemies. So I started thinking, like, bro, I'm going to probably butcher a Northern Rider now. So I left with that mentality. I got kicked out to the hole. I got kicked out to C-Yard. When I hit C-Yard, I walked into the shot caller for IR, for the yard that was there. So it was just like, I don't know, a stroke of luck or a stroke of bad luck, whatever it was, right? So I landed in the cell with him, and we started getting to chop it up. I'm there for like about somewhere close to a month, maybe like 45 days, between a month and 45 days. The riders had jumped Dopey from Sacramento, who was an IR. They jumped him. They rode us a kite at first. They rode us a kite, and they told us, hey, your homeboy keeps speaking up on my compas, and what's up with this? Hey, bro, we need to handle this. So my Sally was you need to go out? My Sally was a shot caller at the time, so he's like, hey, he asked for my advice. So I'm like, what should he do? Like, hey, well, how should he handle this? I gave him my advice. We wrote him a kite. We wrote the Northern Riders a kite saying, hey, bro, don't trip. We'll take care of it. But before we had the chance to address the issue with Dopey, they jumped him 3-on-1. They jumped him 3-on-1 on the upper yard. This happened on Saturday. On Monday, nobody knows anything. So on Monday, we're on the lower yard. We're in C4. The news came in. The Northern Riders jumped Dopey on the weekend, over the weekend. So what we did is that we dug out our knife from the top of the of the light, we dug out our knife. Bam, and it was a flat. It was made from the back braces. So we dug it out. We hit the yard. I hit the yard. And when I hit the yard, I'm thinking in my head, this is my opportunity to make the name for myself. As a lifer, this is what I put myself in a mindset that was like, this is what I have. I have nothing but prison and this prison gang. So this is what I'm gonna live for, and this is how I'm gonna push that forward. So I went out to yard and I dropped it on the IRs, and I told them, look, bro, like I'm gonna take care of it, bro. I'm gonna book this fool, dog. As soon as he comes out, the shot caller, there's this dude, his name was Happy. As soon as Happy comes out, I'm gonna book him, bro, and it's gonna kick off, fool. So there was a little bait, a little argument. Some people were saying, nah, we need to slow it down. I said, nah, bro, like, that's out, bro. Like, I'm from East LA, bro. Like, retaliation's a must, dog. I kept on saying that. Retaliation's a must. We're not gonna just let this fly. Like, what the gang are you from the streets? And I'm talking to some of the dudes that were against it. So around school exchange is the opportunity comes up. But before that, me and my co-defendant at the time run up on another rider, and when we run up on him, we're like, hey, like, and we're pushing up on him. The dude says, you know what, I'm not an NR. I haven't been an NR for like a week and a half. So we knew then that we already exposed too much, because he went into the building, and regardless if he was affiliated or not, he's going to go run his mouth to his old homeboys. So he goes into the building around yard and school time. They released C status, and they released the dude Happy, the one that I was gonna stab, my initial target. So they released him, and they released his Sally. And they released some dude named Poison. They released 6 others. So we're waiting. I'm waiting for Happy to come meet me in the middle of the court while the other ones are getting released from school. So I'm walking over to Happy, and there's a couple IRs around me, and I tell Happy, like, hey, bro, what's up, fool? Like, what's up with your compas, fool, jumping my brother, dog? And it became like a little conversation. This dude Ghost says, hey, bro, if you guys hurt my Sally, it's gonna be all bad for you. And one of my homeboys says, what do you mean it's gonna be all bad for you? And that's when I pulled out my knife. When I pulled out my knife, that fool Ghost tells Happy, run, Happy. And Happy runs. And he does this little figure 8 in the middle of the yard. And so we're under the tower, and he runs from the first little, the court where the handball courts are at. He runs like in an 8 figure. Like, we were clowning about it when we were in the hole. We were saying that fool ran a football scrimmage. So he runs, he does this little figure 8 in the middle of the yard. During this time, it starts kicking off, because I'm chasing this dude with a knife. So he's running around, and it's kicking off. So everybody's like, you hear the cops, get out, and they're throwing bombs. Happy runs, and he runs straight into the cops. He runs to the cops. I turn around, I tell that you're, because he runs to the cops, and the cops step in front of him like, hey, fool, get out of here. So they put a pepper spray in my face, and I ran the other way. And I fucking ran the other way. When I turned around, they were in. It was about like 9 on 6. And it was kicking off around the middle of the yard. So I run into the middle of the yard, and I seen that fool Ghost. When I seen Ghost, he was fighting somebody, one of my other brothers. So when I ran up, he was swinging his arms, and I tried to get under the right side of his arm. So I'm digging the knife into the right side of his arm, and I puncture him. As soon as I puncture him one time, he drops. Boom, he just drops. And then I just get on top of him, and I start puncturing him. As I'm puncturing him, I hear one of the homies tell me, hey, fool, they're gonna shoot. They're gonna get the mini. And I'm like waiting for it, and I hear so I get up and I get up off of them, and I run and I throw the knife, and all the 2-5ers were laid out. The guard was laid out, so they were laughing about it. When I seen them in the hole, they said that the knife landed right next to them, and they just got up and walked away. That they're like, hell no, they were trying to bury it and whatever, right? So that happened, bro.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I heard the bombs, and I lay it down, bro, and as soon as I get off of him, everybody jumped on him because he was just a herd dog at this point. He was just like, his whole side was just leaking blood, and they were chasing him, and they were punching on him. So I'm looking at him, I'm laying on the floor, and I'm looking at them chase him around like chase ghosts, as he's trying to run for his safety now. The other riders were just fighting in front of the other building, in front of building 2. So I lay it down. Everybody lays it down. One of the IRs spits on Ghost and tells him, and he points at Happy and said, "This is what you get for jumping my brother," and spits on that fool and kicks him in the face. So everybody gets down as the cops come in.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
What's up? So yeah, as I'm sitting down, one of the cops, this big ass white boy, walks up to me and says, "This man," the dude wasn't white, but he was mixed. He was a northerner from Santa Rosa. So he points at me and says, "Hey," he stabbed that white boy. Excuse my language.
Peter.
So I'm sitting there, huh?
Hey, bro, I'm gonna have to edit out those cuss words.
All right, my bad. So
don't even trip, bro.
So he points at me and says, "Hey, he stabbed the white boy, you know." They handcuffed me. They put a little number by my head. They start numbering everybody that was involved in the melee. We get up. They separate the northerners from the northern riders from the independent riders. And they put the independent riders on the patio. They put the northern riders in front of one block, along the 1-block wall. They cuffed them up, but they made a show of the dude that ran, that dude Happy. They put him in front of the cage while they were releasing the rest of the school. And they were telling the dude that were walking by, "This dude ran in a riot. This dude ran in a riot. This dude ran in a riot. This guy right here ran in a riot." And they even, this gorgeous chick too, so I would have felt embarrassed, because she says, like, she basically calls him a coward, like, "Oh, he's a coward, he ran." And they're just making a show of that, you know. And we're sitting there, I'm waiting to get processed to the hole. All of us are going to the hole because it was a serious what the write-up says is that I had the intent to kill him because I collapsed his lung. So as I'm sitting there on the floor, when I see them shove a tube down his throat and they take us to the hole, he leaves on the ambulance. I go to the hole. When I'm in the hole, the riders that jumped my homeboy Dopey are my neighbors. And when I get there, the dude that was my Sally was a little homie from Chula Vista, San Diego, and he tells me, like, "Hey, what do we do? These dudes are next door." And I tell him, "Hey, fool, just don't say anything. We're gonna talk to him right now, fool. Like, let me think about it right now." So I get a pen and I write it in sloppy writing, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, riders? Like, 'cause we're usually cool with each other. Hey, riders, hey, I got off on these fools. Well, my brothers and these fools kicked it off, and I keep on saying these fools. And in my head, I know that they're gonna automatically assume the 2-5ers. And be like, "Oh yeah, the 2-5ers, because we usually collaborate against them." So they write back. They're like, "Hey, who, the 2-5ers?" And I write them back like, "Yeah." I don't say yeah. I say, "Yeah, them fools are stupid, But hey, bro, what's up with you guys getting off on my brother? Like, why'd you guys jump my brother? You know, like, we didn't have a chance to talk about it, but let's talk about that stuff. And they wrote and signed this to the dude next door. They were both from Salas, and they write us back and they tell us, hey, yeah, bro, our compa sent word to us to jump him. So we went ahead and did that, you know, but we're glad you guys aren't mad. So and they ask again, you kicked it off with the 2 5s, right? And they asked a question mark, like another question mark. When we got that, I told the homie from Chula Vista, they're done, bro. We got they signed over that their homies told them to do it. This is all bad, bro. They just signed over their own careers, bro. So I keep the kite, and I write back to him like, nah, bro, it was your brothers. I was like, hey, so that's out. Don't ever jump my brothers again. And I tied it to the line, and there was enough slack to go back and forth. So they pulled it back again. And me and the homie from Chula Vista are looking at the kite, at the line, and we just see it slowly just disappear out our cell. And we told our brothers, hey, fool, shoot a line down here. So they shoot a line, and we send it down the tier. And basically, with that situation is that we took their lack of knowledge to explain that why we did something against them. So at that, they messed up because they said that their brother had told them, their compa, had told them to put a hand on another car, and that's not right. So them dudes ended up losing their career. They ended up getting beat up and sliced up and all types of stuff for the harm that we did to 2 of their brothers. One of those dudes, that dude Happy, ends up telling everything about the story, everything, bro, like everything. But that situation was like it was in our favor. Another thing that we did is that we committed an extreme act of violence, and the reason why we committed that.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Was to force the administration to put us on lockdown, to enable our brothers to do what they have to do in the blocks, because in certain blocks they were outnumbered by the riders, so by the northern riders. So by forcing us all in handcuffs, all the IRs and the northern riders in handcuffs, it enabled the ones that were in blocks where there wasn't a lot to do what they had to do to get out that situation. So that was my first actual war campaign that I made and successfully executed it. So yeah, bro. So that's just what happened, right? I ended up getting 96 years for that, bro. And at the time, I didn't care because I had life without the possibility of parole, anyways, bro. Like I felt despair, so I acted in that despair, bro. There's a lot of things, bro, that I know that I shouldn't, like, bro, I messed up. I would never hurt somebody like that again. You know, Tony, I talk to you a lot, bro. Like, I've done a major change in my way of thinking, and I understand, you know, like not everything is anybody else's fault but mine, bro. And I'm a man, and I will own up to it. I'm not gonna gloat about it. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you like the decisions I made were the best decisions that a man could make, you know, no matter how they played out, you know, in my favor or for the favor of the group that I helped back up and support. But that aside, you know, like I want to let everybody know right now, you know, that those decisions are just, man, they're down the drain, dog. You know what? Like, I'm sorry, you know, like I would, if I was to see that person, I'm never going to be on the yard with them again. I would tell them, I'm sorry, dog. Like, I'm sorry that I did that to you. I know what it feels like to just live with just that feeling after of just, like you have like very little control over your environment, you know. But yeah, Tony, I hope you guys enjoyed this little story. It's a true story, that I hope that people hear and know, bro, that prison's not the best place to be at. You know, that's it, brother. Thank you.